Well, finish. That was from the boy. Haters will say it's a one goal wonder thing. They've never did it. Smash the like buttons. Let's go. As you lot know, times free intro settings. Yeah, but
I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
come on, Ian. Bro. Come on. Are we live? Of course we're live. People deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in each and every time. As usual, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. Appreciative to have you lot tuned in. Hope you and your loved ones are in good health. Big up you lot if you're on Twitch. Big up you lot if you're on Twitter. And obviously the YouTube crew. Again, journey to 70k is alive and kicking. If you haven't smashed the like button or subscribe, then you know what you need to do. Any talking points, questions, differences of opinions, all of that sort of good stuff. Feel no sort of way about getting them in. Now, where Arsenal's concerned, obviously where us playing on the football pitch is concerned, there isn't too much to scream and shout about because we've not been doing the business. Obviously, we find ourselves in January where we hope we can sign players. Some reports are more optimistic and some are more pessimistic. 1 minute we can't do anything because of FFP. Then we might do something. Every minute we're linked with a new player to the point where I'm pretty sure a lot of us Arsenal fans are expecting the best summer transfer window in ages. Everybody were trying to sign in the summer. Zubamendi, Douglas Luiz, Osimhen, Vlahovic, Pedro Neto, this guy, that guy, and probably myself soon. Big up yourself, Josh, and whatnot, people. So yeah, man, and again, as I always say this, and I know us content creators always say this, and you lot might be immune to it, but genuinely, I appreciate all the support you lot are giving me, not just in however long we're here for, but historically all the content, and big up to my regulars. Shout out to everyone that obviously watched my video with Tom Canton. Again, big him up. Make sure you're subscribed to his platform. I can't imagine you're not. Make sure you know you're going and having a look at that live stream after this. And at 7 p.m, Art DeRoche, my guy of The Athletic, we did a video yesterday. It comes out at 7 p.m. today. We spoke about transfers, about Haaland, about Mikel Arteta, about Saka and Martinelli struggles, about fullbacks, and just about anything in the just over the hour that I had with him. And there'll be a lot more collaborations and content and things like that to come. So make sure you're turning on your notification bells. You're following on all the socials and all the good stuff. So yeah, any thoughts? Feel no sort of way about getting them in. But with that being said, let's see what the latest news headlines and all of that concerning our football club is saying. Allegedly, Arsenal star Gerard Timber takes big step towards recovery from ACL. Now, before I read it, I urge caution. We got to remember it's an ACL. It's a long journey. It appears that he's ahead of schedule. I'm sure you've seen on Arsenal.com he's doing a bit of ball work. Whether he's able to participate in full training, contact sport, you know, we'd have to give the man time. Even if he was fit tomorrow, we have to give him time because the physical wounds will heal. I don't know. He seems like a strong man religiously and things like that, but the mental wounds are going to take time. And typically there is a lot of setbacks with an ACL and whatnot. A man said, like, I try to do the Malcolm X. I'll try to do the Sky Sports thing, man. I see them with glasses and that. You know, I'm on my Matisse wave, man. I appreciate that. But yeah, on a serious note, CeeLo, you're a fool, man. But big up yourself and the Twitch ones. Timber is back on the grass and underwent some ball work in Dubai this week as he took a big step towards recovery from injury. I think every Arsenal fan can't wait for his return, whoever he's going to play left back, you know, and him and Tomiyasu in particular, because on one hand, I think Timber left back, Tomiyasu right back, but at the same time, Timber could even play centre half on occasion, and you know not Benjamin White, he could get a rest, but Saliba and Gabriel could get a rest. But I must admit, the thought of Timber and Saka down the right hand side, it is one that arouses your imagination and things like that. Big up social joys, man. Rambo, you're a fool, man. But yeah, listen. Keep your comments coming, man. Listen, I'm trying to entertain you lot. The Gunners signed Timber from Ajax in a deal worth 38 million this summer, but despite much hype over his arrival, he has only managed 2 appearances. Don't try to rub out Timber like he wasn't lit in pre-season, like he wasn't the man of the moment. And I know Declan Rice has shown his quality, but he was looking like the signing of the season. Unfortunately, the 22/21-year-old suffered an ACL after 50 minutes against Nottingham Forest, where he did very well against Manchester City in the League Cup. As you lot would have seen, we're all in Dubai. The players that are injured are traveling as well. Apparently, reports say Partey is going to be fit for Nottingham Forest. Gabriel Jesus is in training, and I don't think anybody expects Timber to be back anytime soon. But it's a step in the right direction, really and truly. Apparently, Arteta has said he took a big step forward in his recovery when he underwent some ball work on the pitches out in Dubai this week, which our cameras captured. He's doing very well. Obviously, he's going through a really significant injury, but he's flying, to be fair. The stage he's at right now, he's recovering very fast. The way he works every single day is incredibly satisfying to watch, people. So let's just chill out and whatnot. Just more depth. You can never have too much depth as an Arsenal fan. His brother has been speaking, allegedly, people, and his brother said, after the match against West Ham, we had a photo with Thierry Henry. Everybody knows what kind of player he was, and I thought it was special to see him. I mainly know him from his time at Barcelona. I didn't really experience his period at Arsenal. I was still a bit young then. I love English football. Jaren has that too. As a child, Arsenal was already his #1 club. So why was Timber watching Arsenal as a kid and you wasn't? Somebody's lying. You're twin brothers, but nonetheless, keep going. That's why it's extra. It's great that he plays there now. I didn't have a favorite club myself, but I do enjoy watching the Premier League. It's a great level and a very high pace. That's ultimately what I strive for. It's a dream to be there to play one day myself. Big up yourself. But if there's a Dutch player I want, it's that Jaren Hatto player, if I'm completely honest with you. Moving forward, allegedly, Arsenal delegation jets out multiple deals expected to be agreed in the next days. Now, let's see what that exactly means. In my opinion, that's probably commercial. Senior figures at Arsenal are planning to work on multiple commercial deals during their trip to Dubai this month, sources have told Football Insider. It seems like, in particular, Dubai, America, we keep going to. The Gunners announced on Tuesday, in brackets the 9th of January, that they have flown to Dubai for hot weather training camp. The North London club will remain in Dubai for a week with their return flight booked for the 16th of January. Obviously, on the 20th, we play Crystal Palace, and then we end the month against Nottingham Forest. Arsenal's announcement also states that the trip will include several activations with commercial partners, including Emirates, Adidas, Sabah Reality, and TCL. The Gunners recently renewed their agreement with the Emirates, with the Dubai-based company now paying over 60 million per season until 2028. Well-placed sources have told Football Insider that Arsenal's commercial team will use the Dubai trip as an opportunity to expand their commercial scope by working on multiple deals. Allegedly, Football Insider revealed in December that Stan Kroenke has spearheaded a directive at Arsenal alongside his son Josh, Vice Chair Tim Lewis, and Chief Commercial Officer Juliet Slot to improve the club's commercial output. We want to be the best in all aspects. Kroenke is eager to capitalize on Arsenal's on-pitch improvement by strengthening their commercial revenue. The Gunners have added 7 new commercial partners to their portfolio within the last 12 months, taking their total tally of official partners to 25. Arsenal's latest 2021-22 accounts revealed that the club earned 141.7 million in commercial revenue. The North London club are expected to announce their 2022-23 accounts in the coming weeks, with all PL clubs required to submit their results by the 31st of December, people. In other news, Everton have placed a 60 million asking price on Arsenal target. What is that? In relation to Onana, Everton have slapped a 60 million asking price on Onana in January, sources have told Football Insider. It's believed that Arsenal are exploring a potential deal for the midfielder this winter, but the Toffees do not want to lose in this month, as he's seen as crucial to Sean Dyche's team. Let me know what you lot think of that, people. Obviously, 60 million in today's day and age is a lot of money, but it's not the biggest. It seems like Everton are struggling financially. That's why they might have to sell people. And almost like today, you've seen that with Newcastle. Obviously, we're struggling. I don't know if we're going to do that. I think there is an interest. I do think there'll be talks, but you can be interested in as many players as you want, have as many talks as you want. You need to put the money down and get things sorted. And based on Sean Dyche's comments that we covered in a live stream a few days ago, if in theory Arsenal were to put 50, 60 million, whatever Everton are asking for, I think Sean Dyche wants to keep the player, but it seems like a decision that will be made by his superiors. As revealed by Football Insider, the Gunners have made Aston Villa ace Douglas Luiz their top target for 2024, although they will have to wait until the summer as a January deal is out of the question. Mikel Arteta's side are laying the groundwork to pursue the Brazilian after his excellent performances under Emre. Any prospective buyer for Onana would need to offer a near club record Everton fee to prize the 22-year-old away from Goodison Park. Fair enough. Their record sale remains to be Lukaku's move from Man United. So that's a bit contradictory there. But yeah, big up Onana. I don't think he takes us up several levels in the way Declan Rice did. But, I think he'd be a great player. You've seen the Newcastle info getting out. Yeah, I have. But, when you look at a lot of teams, Arsenal, they're saying you got to sell before you can buy. They're saying the same for Chelsea and they're saying the same for Newcastle. It seems like Newcastle have rich reserves, but there's FFP red tape, and that's probably why you've seen them. Well, Isaac linked with us today, Bruno Gomares linked with PSG. By all means, if there was a chance to raid Newcastle and pick up Livramento because he can play left back and right back, get Bruno Gomares. Definitely, I'm having Isaac, and there's probably a couple more. Then I'm all for it, people. And even Eddie House come out today and said he likes Solanke, but they can't buy him. It wouldn't surprise me. David Ornstein hints Arsenal may have a late transfer window move in the works. David Ornstein has shared the information that he's been given about the plans that Mikel Arteta's Arsenal have in the January transfer window. The Athletic reporter has noted what he has had to say may not necessarily please Arsenal fans. Let's see exactly what has been said. It wouldn't surprise me if they ended up doing something reactive towards the end of the window, purely because they're always attentive to the market. They are short in places, and we can never say never in this industry. If you haven't smashed the like button, make sure you've done such. Let me know your thoughts. But as I've consistently reported, Arsenal's financial position dictated that this was expected to be a quiet window. And still to this point, I'm not aware of anything meaningful developing yet, which I don't want to hear. That's not to say work hasn't gone on behind the scenes to identify and prepare options in multiple positions for now, some and beyond. But whether any of those can or will be acted upon before the end of the month is another matter altogether. It will largely depend on whether and which players leave and what space and finances that would create to do business the other way. And it's a bit weird because we can't sell before we can buy, and we can't buy before we could sell. In theory, if Eddie Nketiah can fetch 30 to 40 million, that might help us bring in a midfielder or a defender or a winger. I don't think it goes that far towards bringing in a striker, people. So yeah, big up Ornstein. Sorry for the boring answer, but to my knowledge, it's the reality. Arsenal really need to get their existing players who are proven to deliver the results the club wants, to rediscover their best form. That seems to be the bigger issue right now than recruitment. Of course, we need to get the maximum out of our existing players, which hasn't been the case in the last few games. Personally, if you could do it in January, great. I would love a striker, would love a winger, would love a central midfielder or two, or a defensive body. And I'm a bit wary of the same kind of rhetoric around, when Timber's fit, when Tomiyasu's back, when Partey's fit. Such is life. These men will come back. Other people will get injured, and we probably should have spent correctly in August. Like looking back in August, I love the signing of Timber. If we wanted David Raya, fair enough. I don't know if that was the best way of resources. Kai Havertz, it reminds me of, how you have a broke friend that somehow, has about £10 in his account and he still buys weed. That's exactly what Arsenal probably done in the summer. But nonetheless, let's keep it moving and hopefully we can get Gabriel Jesus fit. Arsenal would join a bidding war for 22-year-old. This is in relation to Elise, people. He's been linked with Manchester United and previously Arsenal, and Dean Jones has been speaking. When they're weighing up options, Elise is someone they do really like in this position. Obviously, if it comes at a time where there's a bidding war for Elise, who Chelsea tried to get in the summer, then you will have Man City, Chelsea and Arsenal all involved because that's how good he is. Those are the clubs who like him. Liverpool haven't gone down that path yet, but why not Liverpool as well if they need to move on from Salah? Big boots to fill if you're replacing Mohamed Salah. Big up yourself, Charlie, and appreciate your super chat. What have you said here? Do you think the board are losing trust in Mikel Arteta? I think there's got to be concerns in the same way when things are going right. I don't think, I think Mikel Arteta has made mistakes. I have to wonder, while I think in the last 18 months, the signing success rate to duds rate has been a lot better. But naturally, they've got to be saying things like us. Did you need to bring in David Raya? Did you need to bring in Kai Havertz? Kieran Tierney, fair enough. But did you need to get rid of Kieran Tierney? Kyrill's not really bringing nothing to the table. We're saying the same things about Fabio Vieira. I think the club are in their eyes, we're ticking over. We're doing what we need to do. We're you know, I don't think there's that aggression as much as the fans have in that they want to win a Premier League title. And some fans would sack Arteta if we don't win a Prem or a Champs. I think there will logically be question marks. Obviously, is Arteta not contracted until 2025? So you'd imagine that that is something that's going to be a hot target. Do you think Bakayoko is a better option than Elise? Not personally. I'm a bit biased towards Elise. He'd be lit, man. But it's like what my man Bert has said. Elise would be nice, but we have more pressing needs. Yeah, I mean, I would love Elise. He can play left, play right, play as a 10. I think the only criticism I have of Elise is he's good. And then every couple of games, he's great. He plays at that level. To get to that level, you need to kind of play there. But I like him. I like his swagger. I like his difference making. I think he's got a bit of stardust. I think he ties into what we want. You know, he's a London lad. He's early 20s. You know, he could take the burden off Bukayo Saka. Obviously, set pieces, a bit like Douglas Luiz. He can hit and deliver a set piece. And I think he's got that stardust. I would love Elise. If we could do it tomorrow, it'd be done. But, and I do think it's a weird one because when you look in August, like I would say August probably to about October, Arsenal fans were probably saying, you know what, we need a striker, which is true. Then there was the injuries in midfield. We say, you know what, January, midfielder. Then there was 1-2 injuries in defense on top of Timber. You know what, we need a defender. I think they're all of equal importance. For me, I would love a striker and a winger. I think, you know, obviously the talk is more around the striker, centre mid, and probably defensive options right now. But where you look at with Saka and Martinelli's form, it would be nice if there was a player that doesn't necessarily have to be better, but someone that Mikel Arteta genuinely believes in can, you know, take one of them out the side. Because I do wonder, you know, is it a thing where everybody's failing in an attacking sense? So there's deeper things, but Saka and Martinelli are probably more than anything, along with everyone, probably struggling a lot psychologically. So could you pull them out the team? And as you lot know, since Saka's come on the scene, or definitely under Mikel Arteta, he's been pulling this club forward, you know, but with everything he's got. So naturally, there was always going to be that sort of drop off. And one does wonder, had we have got a Pedro Neto or a Fina or a Mudryk, big up Trossard, all these guys, someone that Arteta is genuinely going to bet on. Where you look at Reece, obviously Jesus can play out wide. You look at someone like Reece Nelson. I like Nelson. He's come from the academy. Think he's got potential to be a lot better. Clearly, the club and Arteta like him. But where you look back in the summer, playing devil's advocate, obviously, I'm not a financial expert. I don't know what was going on. But just hindsight's a wonderful thing. Well, now that I put what we know now, if I knew then, I wonder how close to FFP we was, because we have spent a lot of money without being in the Champions League. I think obviously Balogun wanted to leave, but I think the reason we let him go even more is because that was a chance to bring some finances in. I look at Reece Nelson, maybe there wasn't that money to go for a Pedro Neto or a winger, and we said, you know what, Nelson will keep you as a body. You had your Bournemouth moment. You can stay being a kind of squad player, really. And I want Mikel Arteta. I'm not saying he doesn't believe in Reece Nelson, but reality is, you look at our attackers, when Trossard's played, when Saka's been playing, when Martinelli's been playing, and the strikers, nobody's really been thriving. When everyone's doing all right, then yeah, there's no time for no one to get opportunity. But if there was a player like a Pedro Neto or someone that Arteta admired, if these players are not doing the business, obviously someone can come in. I'm not saying he doesn't believe in Reece Nelson, but because he's assembled this squad, so Arteta has to take the praise and the criticism. But it would be nice if there was another attacker. You know, Mikel Arteta himself speaks about, we need to be a team that can get 100 goals. We need a striker that's going to get 20 odd. We need Jesus to bring in at least 10 to 15. We need Saka and Martinelli and all these guys to bring in double figures. We need Havertz. So it's a mad thing, you know, really. But whatever Xhaka got in his last season, someone needs to bring that. We need Odegaard to get on it. And then, you know, you're good for a Saliba or a Gabriel or these kind of guys popping up with a header or two every now and again, really. So, yeah, man, I do like the way Mikel Arteta has assembled this squad and how he's taken over Arsenal where we're at. But now I think everyone can see Arteta can do the rebuild thing. You know, you've done that really and truly. Now you start to look at it in a lens of, it's now time to challenge for a Premier League title. It's now time to, you know, arrest some of our mistakes, because I feel for as good as City or Liverpool are, and as much as we're ticking over, I think we personally make things harder for ourselves. I think, again, harshly looking at it through winning a Premier League title, I think we're quite naive. I think we make our own mistakes, and I don't think we necessarily understand the fine margins of football. Obviously, we comprehend that. You know, how many times have Arsenal been outplayed this season? I think we was outplayed against Fulham in the League Cup. I mean, in the Premier League. I think we was outplayed against West Ham in the League Cup. All in all, I don't think we were a better team against Chelsea. I think we shot ourselves in the foot against Spurs, but that's my point, really. Prior to our latest sort of run that we've had, I've actually been annoyed in the games we've drawn than we've lost, really. But that's what I mean. You know, I would trade places with Jurgen Klopp where the FA Cup's concerned, where, well, not with Spurs because we drew, but or and whatnot. But definitely where West Ham, Newcastle, and Villa are at, we can be the better team. But did we get 3 points? At the end of the day, in May, all that matters is where you place, how many wins, losses, and draws. Obviously, when we're going through our season, I will say, yeah, that defeat was better than that. That was a poor one, but it doesn't matter really and truly. And I think we're very naive. You know, you can have all the touches in the up box, all the shots. At the end of the day, you got to put the ball in the back of the net, score, take the 3 points. I don't think David Moyes cares about us being a better team. I don't think Jurgen Klopp would care about that, etc., etc. And I do think, a bit like last season, we have this element of shooting ourselves in the foot. Chelsea, that would be said. Fulham ×2, that would be said this year. Spurs, that would be said. Liverpool at Anfield, that would be said last year. I'd also say West Ham and to a degree Southampton. We need to maximize everything internally and learn from these things, because I do think we shoot ourselves in the foot. And when you're winning a Premier League title, it's harsh. I do think the conversation now has to kind of move to, can Mikel Arteta go and do that for us, people? But I think everyone here would love Elise. One love for the super chat, and keep your comments coming, man. We need a left centre mid and a right back / left back. You bang on the money, man. For me, I would love a Timber Tomiyasu kind of one that can play across the back four. If you can't do that, get a man that can play left back or right back. I must admit, if you asked me prior to this run, I would have said, you know what, bring me another centre half. Now it's probably a bit reactionary, but I want a fullback, really. I'm not really convinced with Zinchenko long term. I like him. I think he could be utilised. I like Kirill, but I don't really think he's the guy. I think Benjamin White is struggling. And I also think from Mikel Arteta, I think you need to change something with our fullbacks. I don't think we're getting enough. I don't think Martinelli and Saka are getting enough. I think when you look back last season, they were running in behind or getting on the ball where they can have a shot or an action. Too many times, Martinelli is isolated, and on top of that, he's running into blind alleys. Saka's decision-making has been poor in this last couple of games. He should have squared it for Nketiah. And I'm sure against either Fulham or Villa, that would have been said. But they're not getting enough, really. And I don't think our fullbacks are providing enough, really and truly. Like somebody said there, left centre mid, a press-resistant 8, that would have been lit for me. And I don't know who he would have got. But yeah, I'm from the Netherlands. Brobbey is not rated here. People see him as a prospect. I'm not going to lie. He looks like a bouncer, man. I swear down. Last time I went Shoreditch, he asked me for my ID. I don't really rate that Brendan Brobbey guy. If he signs and he's lit, then I'll be shameless. But I'm not really for it. I don't see how we go to where we want to go to. I think it's lazy analytics from the journalists. You know, it's easy to link Arsenal with a striker. We need a striker. And how many times are you going to write articles about Vlahovic, about Osimhen, about Tony, about this guy? You're going to be a bit creative, you know, and obviously Jimenez and Boniface and these guys. You're going to start linking us with Zirkzee and Solanke and all of these things. I'm sure Arsenal have a list of targets and have scouted a lot, and there's all different kind of guys up there. But yeah, the board offered him a contract extension when he was going through a 3-loss streak last time, and he turned everything around. Would be a good time to offer him another new contract. It's probably there really and truly, because I like Mikel Arteta. Like, I'm not Mikel Arteta in or out. I think there's a lot of concerns, and I think I have to start with balance getting a bit harsher. I think there's a lot of good things he done. For me, the biggest thing with Mikel Arteta, though, I don't want him to make mistakes or learn for no reason at Arsenal, or learn in vain. I think he's got potential one day. He's still a young manager. I think he's got potential one day to manage one of the biggest and baddest clubs. But I don't want him to do a thing where he's got a free hit. He makes his mistakes at this club, and then he goes to, I don't know, Barcelona or back to City, and he says, you know what, I did that at Arsenal. That didn't work. Let me do the opposite. We got to remember this is a two-way street, really. And as you said there, you know, the club have bet on Arteta when it was a lot more of a cloudy circumstance. So I can't see things changing really and truly in that regard. Attackers will hit hot form soon. I need everyone to, bro. I think, you know, obviously attack wins games, and I think Arteta has coached enough. I think the final action in the final third is what's killing us. People not putting the ball in the back of the net. But I also think defensively, man, I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of psychological issues. I think psychologically, I think a lot of boys are tired. I think, you know, we've just dropped off a level. I think things just happen. But I think across the whole team, man, you know, when I say attack, I'm talking about defense as well. When I say defense, I'm talking about the attackers as well. I think, you know, we're not pressing together. I think we've dropped off a cliff defensively by the high standards from set pieces and following runners and all these things. I just said it earlier, smash the like button. I don't think our fullbacks are offering enough. I don't think our build-up play I think it's a bit slow, and we're second guessing ourselves. You know, I'm not really happy about a single aspect of our game. If anything, it's just Declan Rice, Gabriel, and Saliba. And, you know, there's only so many times them three can play above everyone before they drop down a level, which is said in the second half against Fulham, where there's nothing. They're going to have to get into hot form, man. DG, looking intelligent and not deluded with them glasses. Here we do. When did we become Arteta FC? And that's the thing. I like Arteta, but we're not Arteta FC. This is Arsenal Football Club, and he's in a lucky position because he got this job based off what he quote unquote did as a kind of supporting act for Pep Guardiola. We got to remember it's a relationship of convenience. Arteta ain't here because he's a nice guy. We think you can take this project along and you can grow with the young team and things. So naturally, there's going to be mistakes. There's going to be teething problems and all of these things. Now, as somebody said, big up Social Joins, I believe it was you. Apparently, the news that has come out today has been Newcastle might have to sell players. Now, what is said in the papers and what's actually the case, as you lot know, are completely different things. But if Bruno Guimaraes leads the list of potential departures, why not? According to reports, Bruno Guimaraes, Isaac and Botman are three names that would be considered for sale, given how much the club could bank from such a move. The reports suggest that the club have accumulated losses of more than 150 million euros, despite having the richest owners in the world. So I wonder what that means for Lewis Hall of Chelsea. I don't know what this exactly means, people. And again, you can get away with this. I mean, I would love to know teams that have breached FFP, how much have they actually been fined? Because I'm not being that guy, but if the fine isn't that much, if it's like 50 odd million quid, you know, could you argue Arsenal might as well break the rules? Sometimes you've got to do some dirty things to live clean. For what it's worth, though, if we could get Bruno Guimaraes, I think there'll be a whole queue of people interested in him. I think everybody would love it. You know, I think if we could get Isaac, why not? Botman I like, but I wouldn't be that keen. I would like Livramento, obviously, of Newcastle as well. Newcastle got a good team, man, a really good team. And I think that kind of quashes claims of them even considering Aaron Ramsdale at this moment in time. DG, I think we should go and sign Quinton Timber. He's better than Onana, in my opinion. Get it done. I think it's valid to question Arteta at this point. My issue is we always end up short, really. I've been mad with how we lack killer mindset in goal issue. Two, I think this window we need 2 signings. I like Arteta, but for me, I think you're a bit, just me as a fan, I think you're naive with, you know, if we're going for a league with belief in certain players in certain roles. I haven't really liked how we've performed in the FA Cup since we've won it. I have concerns about how we've performed under you and the whole team in Europe, like the Europa League, and we're in the Champions League. Question marks over some of the spending. While Arteta showed me you can make a lot of difficult decisions. I was behind the signing of Odegaard, but not every fan was convinced. And I'm not trying to catch fans out. That worked. The world wanted Xhaka gone. You kept him. That worked. Obviously, getting rid of Aubameyang was a bit of an L. You know, not everyone was convinced on Aaron Ramsdale and Benjamin White necessarily. I do think at the point of Jesus and Zinchenko coming in, they've brought something to the table. I do think how you've taken Saka to the next level. I do like, you know, what you've done with Martinelli, which once upon a time people said that he doesn't really rate you. The same with Saliba. I think there's a lot to like. But I do think you're shooting yourselves in the foot. I think, you know, we seem to sign the centre-back a lot. I think we need a striker. And I don't think our depth is equipped. And I think, again, under the lens of going for a Premier League title, I think there's too much volatility with these players. I think there's too many players that for 4, 5, 6 games are going to be amazing. You're going to be indifferent in the others. If we're going for a league, I need Spartans. I need guys that I know for at least 20, 25, 30 of those 38 games. Bad games can happen. There's a certain level. I do like what Arteta is doing in terms of the tactics. I do think I do think it's more of a case of the players not finishing their dinner, but at the same time, everything is a reflection of the manager. And to be devil's advocate, if everybody is kind of failing to put the ball in the back of the net or nobody's thriving, then I have to look at the gaffer. And I do think a lot of it is psychological because we've hit a rut. I do think we're missing players. I'm a bit tired of saying the same conversations around certain players being injured, but I'm not really happy with what our fullbacks are bringing to the table. I think there's question. It's a weird one because I think Havertz is quote unquote settled. I think Odegaard's been playing relatively well, and Declan Rice is a revelation. But I don't know what it is, people. For me, anyways, it feels like that 3 in midfield. There's something missing there. I don't know what it is, but it just feels like there's something missing. Like I don't feel there's enough, you know, needle passes, threading between the lines. I don't think we've got that press resistant 8, and I think Martinelli has to take criticism off his own back. But I think, you know, that kind of, you know, our left-hand side is a bit of a mess. I think our right-hand side is a bit predictable. I think our playing out from the back is taking a bit longer than it used to. I don't think the pressing's there. I'm not really happy in this climate about anything about our team in the same way when I praise Arteta. But I think it's a case of depth. But anyways, people, keep your thoughts coming. Arsenal are reportedly keen on improving their attacking options with the signing of Brian Brobbey. I believe, from Ajax. The 21-year-old has been in fine form. I don't rate him for what it's worth, but if he signs, I'll be shameless for the Dutch outfit this season, and he could prove to be a quality long-term acquisition for the North London side. Apparently, he's got 12 goals and 4 assists to his name across all comps this season. Reminds me of Moraho and Solanke in that you lot might be good, but you're in a bit of a purple patch, if I'm honest with you. Man United are allegedly chasing him. You know what? He's too good for Arsenal. Ten Hag, do your thing, man. Arsenal forced to reconsider striker after selling club demand crazy money. This is in relation to Ivan Toney. As you know, we've been linked with Vlahovic, Toney, and Osimhen. Romano has allegedly said Victor Osimhen is not on the market and many other options are not available on the market. Toney is a player they, I assume, Arsenal appreciate. This is true. And from what I'm hearing, Toney would be keen on a move to Arsenal. But at the moment, the financial package is way too expensive for Arsenal. Brentford want crazy money, as their manager confirmed a couple of days ago. So I think this is going to be a really complicated one. I don't think you're wrong there. Arsenal allegedly are keeping an eye on 50 million rated Bologna star Joshua Zirkzee, who there is a buyback clause from Bayern Munich on him. And again, if we're looking for a striker, in theory, he fits what we're looking for. He's scoring goals, he's standing out, he's 22, so he's going to flag up on a radar. Whether we're going to move for him or not is a completely another thing, really. He's done all right in Italy. He's 6'4" as well. He's got 8 goals. He's got 8 goals and 4 assists in all comps. 50 million, a bit much, really. You know, I don't think there's enough confirmation behind that. He was previously at Feyenoord. At Bayern Munich, he got 6 goals in 32 games. I mean, he weren't ready for that move. He moved to Bologna for 7 million, and now he's valued at 50, so they can make a quick profit. Bayern Munich have a buyback clause. You'd imagine there's a sell-on clause. Not really convinced. I like him. I would be moving a bit half-hearted if I was the one that could pull the trigger and get Arsenal to sign people. Once again, we've been linked with Zubimendi. Allegedly, Arsenal are poised to revive their interest in the Real Sociedad midfield maestro Zubimendi by triggering his 50 million release clause this month. Despite Zubimendi rebuffing Arsenal's advances last summer, Mikel Arteta remains undeterred in pursuing the 24-year-old Spaniard. We've heard this before. He's a lit player. We'd all love him. You put down the release clause, you might get him, assuming the man wants to leave. We've gone over this with Ivan Toney, people. Financially, it doesn't look prudent to be signing him at this moment in time. We're still linked with Onana and etc., etc. We have previously heard, but once again, allegedly, Manchester City are reportedly eyeing Pedro Neto, and Arsenal and Man City will do battle for him. Now, if you're Pedro Neto, I'm not going to lie, I'm going City. You're going to scumbag some trophies and that. But I do think he would tie in well at Arsenal because we've wanted him a lot. The only issue you could have over Pedro Neto is his injuries. But I think definitely in the first couple of weeks in the Premier League, he was one of the players of the season, really and truly. He's shown he can play on the left, play on the right. I mean, we were just discussing this earlier. I would love Pedro Neto, if I'm honest with you. 23-year-old, he's going to cost a lot of money, and he has picked up injuries. He got 8 assists before his injury as well, people. Anyone want Rafael Guerrero? I like him. I've wanted him from his days at Lorient, people. And if he is available on loan, let's get it done. You know, you've got Michele at PSG. You've got him at Bayern Munich. They could be something. But apparently, El Hilal have made contact with Guerrero as they look to sign a left-back. They've inquired about a loan deal with an option to buy. I mean, that could be something. Arsenal may not hold an interest in Ivan Toney at the price Brentford are asking for. We already know this. We've been linked with Joshua Zirkzee, as we all know, people. The Bologna director has said, we have not received any calls for Zirkzee, and we wouldn't listen to them anyways. Joshua is a number 9.5. He doesn't look like anyone else. Obviously, he's going to say that. So, yeah, apparently he does, however, have the qualities that mimic the impact Toney has had at Brentford. That's cool, but if we're not going to sign you, who really cares? As you know, apparently Thomas Partey is finally preparing his long-awaited return to first-team action, and he's penciled in to allegedly play some part against Nottingham Forest on the 30th of this month. Yesterday, we were linked with a swoop for Brobbey Zirkzee. You know I can't pronounce that, but the former Roma and Real Madrid don, 26 years of age. I think he's got 12, 13 goals in the league. 26 years of age. He can play in a couple of roles. I don't think it makes sense. I think we're just linked with him again because he's having a good season like Solanke and Zirkzee, but maybe you lot want him, people. What's this? Apparently, Real Madrid and Arsenal are to go to battle for Jeremy Frimpong in the summer. He's got a £34 million release clause. You'd imagine fullbacks are on the agenda. Once again, allegedly, Arsenal are willing to pay Zubimendi's release clause, as we saw yesterday. I won't bore you lot with that. Apparently, talks around Tomiyasu's contract are advancing, which we'd love to see him tied down there. Romano has spoken already about the striker market, but for those of you who weren't here yesterday, subscribe and smash the like button. Eddie Nketiah has interest from many clubs. Crystal Palace are there, but they're not the only ones. Though the complication is that it's not easy for us at the moment to find a striker on the market for the long term. We know how Arsenal work. 2 years ago with Vlahovic, they wanted a striker and he was on their list, but he decided to go to Juventus. Arsenal decided not to panic. They decided to wait and to go for a different strategy and to go for another striker in the summer. They want for the players they want. They are not going to do something they're not 100% convinced. At the moment, players like, again, this is what it says, are very expensive or not available on the market, like Tony and Osimhen. So I think it's going to be difficult for Arsenal to find a striker. It's not an easy market at the moment. I'm sure Arsenal will try for a new fullback this January, but for a striker, it's not an easy one. That's what would be required for them to give the green light for Eddie Nketiah to leave. One name linked with Arsenal is Joshua Zirkzee, but I don't have any update, as Bologna are very clear he will not leave in January. They guarantee. His former club, Bayern Munich, will not decide on a buyback clause now. That's all a discussion for June, not this January. And I wonder if Bayern Munich, even if they had no plans to utilize him, activate their buyback clause and then sell him to another place. One final point on Arsenal, as some fans have been asking me about Mikel Arteta having just 18 months left on his contract. At the moment, Arsenal's priority is to focus on the January transfer window and getting better results on the pitch as soon as possible. There is no news on Arteta. They are not in a rush. They are very happy together. Arteta loves Arsenal and the club is very happy with him. So there's no rush. All parties are relaxed. Fair enough. I mean, in relation to Eddie Nketiah, Crystal Palace tried to get him on loan with an obligation. That was obviously in relation to Isaac, which we've seen already, folks. And yeah, we've once again been linked with Sasha Boy. I can't imagine anyone's quite confident on that, although it does feel the most realistic Arsenal are to sign would probably be a fullback, in my opinion. But you just never know in this world. Again, big up my guy, Art. The video will come out at 7 p.m. So make sure you've smashed the like button on this and that. I've just posted a comment. Let's see what Twitter is saying. Once again, Everton wants 60 million for Onana, but Arsenal would have to sell someone first to be able to afford him. Chelsea are interested in Ivan Ferguson, who we were once linked with, but Brighton will demand a fee in excess of 100 million to sign him. David Ornstein has said, well, I've said it already, but some of you might just be tuning in now. It wouldn't surprise me if they ended up doing something reactive towards the end of the window, purely because they're always attentive to the market. They're short in places, and we can never say never in this industry. But as I have consistently reported, Arsenal's financial position dictated that this was expected to be a quiet window, and still to this point, I'm not aware of anything meaningful developing yet. That's not to say work hasn't gone on behind the scenes to identify, prepare options in multiple positions for now, some and beyond. But whether any of those can or will be acted upon before the end of the month is another matter altogether. It will largely depend on whether and which players leave and what space and finance that would create to do business the other way. Arsenal really need to get their existing players who are proven to deliver the results the club wants to rediscover their best form. That seems to be a bigger issue right now than recruitment. There you have it, people. Some of you would like Guirassy. Apparently, Fulham are set to miss out on him, people, and they're weighing up whether to activate his £15.2 million release clause. West Ham are apparently tracking the prolific final striker Santiago Jimenez, who is rated at about 30 million and would want guaranteed first-team football. 30 million, surely that's a risk Arsenal could take, but I mean, if the striker market's on the floor, if you've got a genuinely decent striker and Premier League clubs are coming for them, you need to spend the bag in it, really and truly, if I'm honest with you. Jesus stays fit. Timber comes back. We get a left-sided centre mid /6 in January, and we're back in business by God's grace, my friend. Once again, Newcastle admit they could be forced to sell big stars after announcing 150 million in losses. I mean, if that could bring Gomares to the carpet, why not? Apparently, neither Real nor Zubamendi's entourage can guarantee a day of today that Martin Zubamendi is going to continue in February. MD Mundo Deportivo has learned there are some clubs that want to take him as early as this month and are willing to pay the 60 million release clause. In the Premier League, several want him. Even Aston Villa have been linked, although the one that's been talked about the most is Arsenal. I mean, the club that's talked about the most for a player isn't necessarily the one that's going to grab him. Doesn't feel that there's anything else. Apparently, Sean Dyche's side are understood to be determined to resist Arsenal's interest in Onana, but would like to reinforce their midfield options, although they would only be able to sanction a loan move given the club's financial issues. Ben Jacobs on Eddie Nketiah has said the valuation of Eddie Nketiah is relatively transparent. Talking to sources, something in the region of 30 to 35 million, but it's not just about money. Nketiah is still a part of Arsenal's plans, despite the fact Crystal Palace and a few other clubs are looking, folks. So There you have that. What else have we got here? Real Madrid are set to compete with Arsenal and Chelsea to sign Osman Diomande this month from Sporting Lisbon. I don't really buy that. Victor Osimhen has a release clause of 103 million. So let's save our pennies and see what we can do there. Once again, Arsenal and Man United are battling out to sign Brobbey from Ajax. And apparently we're on the verge of cancelling Marquinhos' loan deal, better yet, loan contract over there at Nantes. Probably have to send him somewhere else. Started well at Norwich, didn't really do much. Ain't pulled up any trees in France. Where he goes from there, only God knows, people. So there's that. What have we got here? Some senior figures at Real Madrid believe the club should sign Osimhen rather than Mbappe. Boy, that's crazy, but we'll have to see. Once again, long story short, Romano and everyone is saying the market just isn't there for those top caliber strikers. You could argue you can make people available if you've got the finances, but clearly we don't. We've got 84 likes. Appreciative to everyone who's hit that. Appreciate that. Make sure you've done such. But I've been airing some of you lot's questions. What have you lot saying? I'm not being funny or rude or having South London bias, but how is Eddie Nketiah rated at 35 million? Same price. Balogun is same price. A Balogun or Zirkzee is 50 million. Why are we always selling for prices we can't get replacements for? I mean, he hasn't gone anywhere. And I mean, Balogun's had a standout season in France. Zirkzee's doing all right. But Eddie Nketiah has never done that. I do feel football players, what they're worth and what you can hustle is a different thing. And I don't necessarily believe this, but he is a key player at Arsenal. Eddie has even kept Jesus out the side and shown he can deputize, has been capped by England, and has improved. So I do think, you're in a position to get decent money, but I'm not going to lie, 40 million for Eddie Nketiah, I'm having that. If I'm honest, big up yourself, K. Arteta's been getting tactics wrong. Need to move Odegaard left and Havertz on the right. Dynamics are wrong. But even that, and I agree that Odegaard could give something on the left, but I think we'd be saying the same things about the right without having Odegaard there. I just don't think Havertz is the right profile to replace Granit Xhaka. Coming to the realization that nobody is coming in Jan, we better just secure champs and plan for the summer. Takes us back to when we missed out again to Spurs on the Champions League. You kind of sign up for certain things when you don't act. I think Arsenal are desperate for a striker. 30 million and we'll give you Danny Ings. He's too good for us, man. He's too good for us. We need to move on. Reece, Trossard and Nketiah, buy replacements that can do a better job when they sub in for starters. I'd probably hang on to Trossard for another year. I think question marks with Arteta is crazy. We need a lot, got to do something. Eddie will come good if he starts, but won't anytime soon. I think Eddie's at that stage where he needs to go somewhere where you're going to play 10, 20 games in a row. I just think to where we need you to be, you're not going to be there at this moment in time, if I'm honest. He's hella mid. Martinelli looks best earlier in the season with Rice at left centre mid. Get at 8 and move Rice over there. I hear that. Should we recall Marquinhos to help with the winger situation? Think he's doing all right at Norwich. He started all right at Norwich and stunk up the place. There's nothing, again, out if he played, yeah, but when we signed Marquinhos, clearly that was a thing where we're just trying to turn that 3 million into 30 or 13 or even 10. We're just not going to get out the hood with that, man, if I'm honest. Personally, my 4 strikers I like: Victor number 1, 2 Tony, 3 Vlahovic / Boniface Sesko. The top one for me would be Osimhen, pardon me, and then I would love Boniface of the same bracket, Vlahovic, Boniface, Sesko, them kind of ones, if I'm honest. DG, our national team coach, Koeman, is playing Weghorst as a striker. That should tell you how probably is rated terrible generation attackers we have. Got some good defenders, though. And I don't think we have the necessary street smartness, if I'm honest. Need to address the winger situation in the summer. Unfortunately, should be using Reece more, even though I don't rate the guy personally. It's legit news. The Times reported, so are the Newcastle YouTube channels. Big up yourself, T. I hope you're doing well and safe. I mean, but we're broke, so they could be broke. But if we can scrape some pennies together and try and raid Newcastle, I'd be all for that. I think Newcastle prepped for sales. Tonali was defo prepped. Solanke is probably their target for Isaac. Isaac or Bruno would be good, but we don't have the funds. I think Arteta is waiting for the perfect star attacker. There just isn't a market up at the moment. We need one of Leao / Osimhen. I hear that. No left back in the squad. Not really a traditional right back or number 8. No competent top striker. Complete over-reliance on young wingers. Partey never fit. Too much work for the January transfer window. Every team has dips. And they do, and we can't be naive. I've said this already. You can't look at Spurs' struggles at a point, Chelsea's, even City's, and Man United's, and think Arsenal are not going to get that. Now, the one luxury is I don't look at the league table, but we're still in and around because we was winning games. it's what we want to do with that. We forgive ourselves for the L's, we pat ourselves on the back for the W's, and we move on. We can't go back in time. The future brings uncertainty. There's no time like the present. What can we do today to have a better tomorrow? It's as simple as that. I don't think we're winning Champions League. I don't think we're winning the Prem, but I don't want the players to have that mentality. Do what you can, and you never know what can happen. You know what they say in life: the harder you work, the luckier you get. So let's see where that could take us. Brobbey is in Nketiah region. A man said, "Oh, tell that DG. Okay, let me know what stocks to invest in, broski. You lot, let me know. Find the next Bitcoin. We can get out of it. I want Arteta gone. I really don't see the upside in keeping him any longer. I mean, I can't defend Arteta if that's how you feel, but hopefully he can prove you right or wrong in that regard. West Ham's DOF was behind Leverkusen's recruitment. His targets looked reasonable. Nketiah creates shooting angles by himself. That's a rare trait, as you should. Marquinhos was the biggest L of Edu's transfer biz. Nah, because I mean, I hear it, but I don't know who hyped him, but he cost 3 million. In theory, you should be able to keep it moving. I think Pablo Marie, Cedric on 100 bags, and Willian, I think they're bigger L's for me. Saka can play the Odegaard role from the wing. Nah, my guy. I hear it, though. Big up yourself, Sean. I hope you're doing well and safe. Nice sub. When is DG back? I'm here, man. Allow me. I try to do the Sky Sports thing, man. I'm on my Matisse vibes. Our depth is rough. I can't lie. Something like 5 or 6 of our players have played over 2,000 minutes since last season, whereas at Liverpool, only Salah has hit that number. I mean, such is Bukayo Saka and our over-reliance on him. There was going to be a time where he's going to look mentally tired, burnt out of sorts, because historically he's been performing. Any news on Zinchenko and Vieira's fitness? I mean, all I could say is on Arsenal.com, you can see Vieira in training in some capacity, and we're going to need Vieira, Partey, Jesus, and Zinchenko. And to be honest, I can't keep up with the amount of injuries or players carrying knocks. Big up yourself, Uncle Simba. Someone tried to kill me on my live stream. Apologies. Second part of the season will be mad. Even Nelson wants more minutes. DG, I feel a late signing is coming up. I still believe we'll win the Premier League this season regardless. By God's grace. Just joined. What do you make of Joshua Zirkzee, ex-Bayern striker? I like him. Don't really feel you're the difference maker, so I think we should stay clear. But you just never know in life. We need to win some games and get back on track. Can't be slipping out of the top 4. You said it there. We can't feel sorry for ourselves. If anyone that doesn't, pressure is a privilege, the good and bad. When things are going well, don't think you're better than what you are. When there's every reason to be upset, keep a steadfast sort of approach. And it's down to the boys to take that, really. And this is why I think the Dubai trip has come at a good time. Your families are out there. Obviously, it's going to be intense. You're going to be training, but it's a chance. It's a bonding kind of thing. And it's a chance to just breathe for a bit, come back with a new mentality. And hopefully against Crystal Palace, we can get back to business really and truly. Football, a week's a long time in football. We've had 19, 20 game weeks. And, whatever club you support, whether you're Arsenal or somewhere, think about all the different talks that have been said about your manager, the players, the system, the this. We've been on a long season. Havertz is 1 minute finding form, then not. Fabio Vieira and Nketiah were some of the players of the early part of the season. Timber was all the range. Benjamin White and Saka were doing their thing. Then they're kind of gone short. Their Raya's looking a bit more convincing. It all, there's a lot to be said of football. But you look at where we are, we're still in and around everyone. So it's down to us to make of that what we can, essentially. Anyone who can't take the heat, come out the kitchen, really. Look at City. I said don't write off City, and a lot of you did as well. A lot of people are saying City's finished, this, that, and the other. Look where they are. A lot of people are saying Spurs were going to struggle. Look where they are. Even Chelsea, they're creeping up on Man United. Us, we was meant to be doing this, that, and the other. If we were to get, and again, it's all ifs and buts and hypotheticals, and it's kind of negative around Arsenal. If we get 6 points off Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest, and you get something against Liverpool at the Emirates, let's assume 7 to 9 points, things start looking different. And then if you go and F it up again, things start looking different again. Like Social Joins, they said every team has had dips. Normally with the last 2 years, it's been in the latter part of the season. Hopefully this is the dip and we can keep going, really. And that's, I would say, the most annoying thing about us, because we could have pulled away. I don't look at the league table, but we're in and around everyone. We could have pulled away from people, really. But if nobody thinks we're going to win the league, if it's all doom and gloom, then there's no pressure, really. If everyone thinks you're going to fail, then you've got nothing to lose. Havertz going to end up being an L. Arteta just spent the peas where he shouldn't have spent the peas, really, in my opinion. Really, because you're nothing like Granit, essentially. Onana or Zubimendi for me would be the choice. If Nketiah does go, which club out of Palace or West Ham would you prefer him to go to? I mean, I'd say Crystal Palace because it's an Ian Wright thing, but I think you'd get more game time at Crystal Palace. It seems like they have less resources than West Ham, but I couldn't begrudge him to go to any. You know, West Ham have won a European title. It's a massive club, crazy fans. London, you still stay in London. I think they're two very good clubs, essentially. City is more of a threat than Liverpool. I believe in Fabio Vieira. There's not many players in that Arsenal team that I don't, when I say rate, I don't think you're the bee's knees, but there's not too many players I don't rate. I've stopped rating Lokonga because I watched you in Belgium. You look like a fraud. I don't rate Cedric, you know. But I don't think Eddie's the bee's knees, but I don't think he's terrible. There's very few players I think are terrible, but the better we get, the more we have to get players that are on this. We can't pull everybody along. The players that helped us rebuild aren't necessarily going to be the ones that are going to help us get top four, then top four again, then win a Premier League, then potentially win a Premier League again, then go for the champs. I don't know, like, really. And the thing is, if we're saying Havertz saying a midfielder, then Arteta's got to hold that L then. Like, you can play as a left, you can play on the left, you can play on the right, you can play as a 9. I actually think he did all right as a 9 against Liverpool, but he didn't put the ball in the back of the net. It's an L, right? Now you're probably best as a super sub. Really, you know, it don't really make sense. I don't think it was the best part of the resources. If Havertz could start scoring and dominating games, then fair enough. I think he's done okay. I think defensively from the jump, you've shown a willingness to muck in. I think physically you've given us a bit of a height, but I don't think I don't think you can dictate the tempo of the game. I don't think you're on the ball enough for me. Cool, you make those third man runs, but there's just a lot missing. And I can't be angry about Havertz not being clinical because we've seen this in an Arsenal shirt. We saw it in a Chelsea shirt. Like, we can't expect anything, essentially. Fabio Vieira not even played for Portugal, not good enough. Bit harsh if we're going to go off people getting called up by their countries. I like Fabio, but reality is when you signed for this club, you had Xhaka and Odegaard in front of you. At the moment, you've got 65 million Havertz. You've got the captain Odegaard. You have played out wide, you know, in place of Saka at times, but that's not you. You've got to put down the marker because it seems like Fabio takes his chances occasionally. This is how it's gone for me. You come off the bench, you look good for the next couple games, you get a start, you do well, then you kind of go back to type and you pick up these little knocks. Even Reece Nelson picks up 1-2 knocks. Him, Zinchenko pick up knocks all the time, but I don't think it's highlighted with them guys that are going to be out for a 1-2 week and then they're back, but suddenly it adds up and you missed a month or two. So I'm not sure. Havertz will look like a huge win when we do sign a striker and gets in a free role. His pressing, aerial ability, physical prowess will really shine. The only issue is the money we spent on him. Not going to lie, I hear you, but if we're praising man for pressing, everyone should be able to press. You don't need a football to press. If we're praising man for his aerial ability, which is 6 foot odd, you should be able to. Physical prowess, everyone should. The bars on the floor, better man could do that. The most Havertz could do is kind of what he's been doing in that. You're not really, obviously, historically, he was a scapegoat, but you've kind of found form or found the role. Just keep doing what you're doing. But it's a thing where Havertz shouldn't be at the club. I'll be real, like, shouldn't be at the club. I don't think he's been terrible, but I don't think he's a difference maker. Yeah, man, big up Vidal. Fabio Vieira again, signings go wrong, and I do think Arteta in the last 18 months has done all right, but if we don't have Newcastle resources, Chelsea resources, and we need to get closer and closer, we need to be like City really and truly in a sense of they walk away from signings if it don't make sense. We have shown, to be fair, we'll do that. But how many signings at City don't work? You know, Calvin Phillips, that didn't work. Other than that, you're kind of scratching your head. And I know Pep and City are an anomaly. That happens. It is what it is. But we need to get a bit more confirmation. And if I'm honest, I have liked the signings, but Fabio Vieira cost 30 million. The jury is still out. Kirill cost 20 million. The jury's still out. That's about 50 odd. My maths is poor. You throw Kai Havertz into that, you're touching 100 odd. You look at the just band it over resources of Willian, of Pablo Marie, of Cedric, who's still here. There's been a lot of good signings, and these are a bit of what I'm saying is without context, but we are kind of wasting a bit of resources, if I'm completely honest with you. In all honesty, are there any players you'd happily let leave the club right now if we could get in quality players we've been linked with? 100% Oliver, but key thing, as you said there, Oliver, if we can get players, you know, I like Eddie. If Eddie wants to cut, you can cut. If you're going to bring a striker in, Eddie, you can cut, and we get a decent offer, you can cut. Nelson, one love. I ain't going to sell Smith Rowe, but if it's a means to an end and we're bringing in certain quality, fair enough. I really don't want to sell Ramsdale as well, but you can cut if things need to be done. I don't know what it is I like about Kirill, because when I'm watching you, you're frustrating me. But if we're going to replace, you can cut. I wouldn't sell Partey necessarily, but if you're bringing in someone of that caliber that is going to be like long-term here, in theory, you could cut. I like Jorginho, and I think you should keep him for depth, but I don't think he's a one that I can bet on for 20-odd games. You can cut. Who else is there? El Nene, good guy. You can cut regardless. One love El Nene, but we're not here to make friends. This ain't, youth club. You can cut. Who else is there? I wouldn't sell Trossard, but if you was to sign two wingers, like if you was to sign a Pedro Net on someone else, then I guess means to an end. Other than that, not really. There's not really that. That's what I actually think our squad is moving in the right direction. It's just about depth and quality. And if you're not going to raise the bracket when you sign, make sure it don't drop off. You take Partey, you take Declan Rice. God forbid you take Saliba, Gabriel. Even though they've been missing for a while, you take Saliba. You take Martinelli and Saka. Even to a degree, Jesus. We start looking a bit fugazi, and that's one thing I would say with Arteta. I think you've been naive with our midfield options and probably our attackers. Really, if I'm honest with you. Big up yourself, man. Cedric, bro, I forgot about Cedric. One love. But even that, the saddest thing is, I'm not saying keep Cedric. But he's a defensive body. If the next one isn't going to come in, he's got 6 months left on his deal. You've basically taken the L. Do you keep him? I don't know. Cedric going to get his testimonial. I rate it. Tierney, Xhaka, Aubameyang, Pepe, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, a couple of other players haven't lasted the distance. Somehow Cedric is still here, playing in the champs. At some point, you have to admire him because no one put a gun to Arteta's head to give him a new contract or anything like that. I respect it. Fullback union, I respect it. We should only sign ceiling raisers now, superstar quality only in windows. Disagree slightly, but I hear it. And fundamentally, I do kind of agree with the statement. If we were to get Havertz, it should have been after we got players we know how to use. Tell them again, to be close to FFP and need a striker, then spend 65 million on a player that lost form from his last club is a risk. It's a risk. And signings like Havertz are going to make Mikel Arteta look like a genius or look like an idiot, respectfully. It does feel like Arteta's on this captain saver hole. Like Arteta Havertz is a stripper. You can't turn a stripper into a housewife. And if you can, you're going to do yourself dirty. As I said, it's like we've all got friends who don't have money and they still find weed. We didn't have money for Piff in the summer and we're still buying Stardog. Like, it don't make sense, Mikel Arteta. And I like Havertz for what it's worth. The price tag, I don't believe it. I don't think Havertz is bad, but you should be a squad done. If we're rebuilding around Havertz, and I hope to be wrong, I hope to wake up and he looks like Schweinsteiger or Ballack or Santi Cazorla. I know I'm moving mad, but I'd love it to be the case. It's not going to be that. I don't know what's going on with Smith Rowe. Why is he not playing? Could he still be not fit from surgery? I just think you're not in the plans, man. And obviously, I'm the president of the Smith Rowe fan club. I ain't going to lie. Martinelli's been looking shaky. Did Smith Rowe not make his name on that left-hand side? Left-sided 8. Can't give him an opportunity. Put Odegaard there, maybe even run Smith Rowe in the 10. I don't know, but I think Smith Rowe's got 2 years left on his contract come the summer. He's got a decision to make. Hopefully a lot changes. I can't understand how Arteta can tolerate El Nene and Cedric, but had no patience for actual scorers like Pepe and Aubameyang. I wish I had that. Take care, Josh. We need to stop this Chelsea rehabilitation thing, though. I'm not going to lie. There's a couple of players at Chelsea I might take again, but I hear it. We're just taking the Banduli ones. We should have stopped after Gallas. Gallas, the worst player to have ever played for this football club, regardless of ability. I don't get why people resent Havertz. Has played less than 40 games. Saka has been poor. Everyone is very afraid to talk about him despite his poor performance. I disagree because I think people are drawing out Saka. People are drawing out Declan Rice. And respectfully, Saka's good. Havertz ain't in the scheme of what we see at Arsenal, really. I do think a couple of times, unfortunately, Havertz has been scapegoated. I don't think he deserves to necessarily be the talking point after the Liverpool game because I think he did well as a false nine. But fundamentally, bro, no matter if you're playing as a false nine or what, not just him, a lot of players put the ball in the back of the net. But this is what I said yesterday, where I'm at the stage where, of course, I want to wake up and some of the things I've said about Havertz are not the thing. Jesus is able to score 20-odd goals. Zinchenko does what he does, but, can defend on a solid basis. But to a degree, with those names I've said, they're all relatively experienced. They represented their countries. They've been in big dressing rooms. They've won trophies. By Arteta, by all means, try and maximize them and whatnot. But this is what I mean by accepting dons for what they are. Havertz has never shown you he's a goal scorer. So I can't get mad that man are not scoring goals. Of course, it's frustrating, but I can't get vexed. Jesus has shown you that he's not a goal scorer. So utilize his strengths and find someone else. Zinchenko has shown you some games he will do his thing. But when it's Anfield and playing against Kudus at West Ham, he can't help you. So utilize him appropriately. Jorginho, bloody fantastic against Liverpool. But for every game like that, there's Chelsea away in the first half this season with like Zinchenko as well. Accept them for what they are. We take players that should be on the peripheral, make them regulars, and then we're even Eddie, and then we're kind of shocked that they're not cut up to task. It don't really make sense to me. But what do I know? Havertz doesn't fit our profile. In terms of being a multifunctional player, he kind of does. He don't fit my philosophy, I'll say that much. Don't know what he's seeing. A lot of these players have been getting cornered. Amen. Bro, bare man have been getting cornered, bro. Eddie Smith Rowe Nelson will probably all be sold in the summer, pure profit on the books. Then the people who were criticizing the club for giving them contracts have to eat humble pie. I hear it. But then again, if you sell all them dons, like what, Eddie Nketiah, Smith Rowe, Ramsdale, Nelson, feel free to say the English talents. Can we really get rid of all of them, essentially? Out of all of them, I'd love to keep Smith Rowe. One love, Nelson. I like you. Eddie, for your sake, I think go develop and show quality, if I'm honest. Cedric is still at the club. But at the same time, what can they do to Cedric? I don't know why they ain't ripped up his deal. Cedric is probably comfortable here. He's getting big money. Obviously, he went on loan to Fulham, so he still stays in London. He's clearly not a disruptive figure, so he's there. Timber's injury, Tomiyasu's injuries, Zinchenko's inconsistencies, and that Cedric's probably experienced enough to sit there and say, you know what, Tierney gone as well. Kirill not doing the business at fullback. Cedric probably sat there and said, you know what, I'll get my chances, You want me to play for under 21s? I'll do that. There you have it. And he's on P's as well. Like, I don't care how much a man gets paid. I don't know how much he gets paid. But if you're any club, whether it's Villarreal, even the Saudi clubs with more money than they can count, are you going to give Cedric 100 bags? Arteta can't handle egos. It's now leading to his downfall. Ultimately, no one wants to say it. But I do think there's naturally going to be question marks about that. But how do we know, in theory, Saka ain't got the biggest ego in the planet? I do agree that, the better Arteta gets and the better we get, naturally, these good players tend to have a chip on their shoulder, and you've kind of got to have one rule and then the other. But I think that's harsh. I think with Aubameyang, he showed he could. It's just Aubameyang, quote unquote. I think there's three sides to every story, and I don't think Arteta is necessarily right. I don't think Aubameyang is necessarily right, and we don't know the grey area, which is the truth. But it seemed like Aubameyang was given leeway, and he's just taking the P, really and truly. And obviously, at some point, especially when a man's not doing the business, you have to cut, man. A man said, "Raw DG doing the new news reporter figure." Trying, man. While I admire Arsenal's loyalty to its players, it's holding us back. El Nene and Cedric, just to name a few. Amen. Donny, as you said there, we're not here to make friends, man. I love the family environment. I love the togetherness, but we're here to win stuff. We're not here to be friends. It just seems a bit too family at times. Balogun was sold for good money. If Timber comes back playing how he was in pre-season, he's going to feel like a brand new signing. He is, but at the same time, you're going to, him being fit to do ball work in Dubai is very different from him being able to take part in contact training, then being able to play games, then how many minutes. Obviously, mentally, the physical wounds will heal, but he'll need to be given time to kind of adjust and feel the same way. And obviously, how much off the pace is he going to be? And I hate to be that guy, but typically when you see ACLs, you do see setbacks, and they might pick up little other knocks and niggles here and there. People are seeing Havertz wrong. He's not a multifunctional tool. He has one weapon, which is getting into goal-scoring positions. In terms of that one trait, he's world-class. Only Haaland can do it better. Havertz will bang eventually. I mean, I hear it, but you got to score. There's no point being in a club and being able to talk to all these women if you're not getting their number. It don't make no sense, or progressing the thing. It don't matter, does it really? Like, it's cool. You can do all of that. But yeah, man, I wouldn't say he's... So you're saying he's got some of the best movement in the world? Only Haaland can do better? I hear it, man. I hear it. The few times Vieira has seen a super sub, he was actually impactful. Such a shame by the injuries. This is what I mean. I like Fabio Vieira. I just need a bit more consistency. I need you to be fit, and I need you to be a bit stronger. And you look at someone like Bernardo Silva. Of course, I don't feel you're him, but he's not the biggest and stuff. But he don't get barraged off the ball. So I'm sure you're in a group chat somehow. Chat to your Portuguese don and see what he's doing. I wouldn't say he's a lost cause. That's harsh. One thing I like about Timber is he's confident in his ability. I think the players taking time out in Dubai is worth it. Let them mentally recharge. All this hate is so redundant. I can't say anything about hate because I don't think I'm hating. And I'm not saying you, Oliver, but it does feel with some Arsenal fans, when things are going positive, nobody says rein it in. Everyone just wants to waffle positively. When we're talking about honestly what's going on, it's seen as hate, or, you ask a question of Arteta, you're a hater. It seems like there's too much hyper opinions. I feel there's Arteta apologists, and I feel there's Arteta people that take it negative, where the truth is in the middle. As I said, there's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of good things he's done. There's a lot of question marks. Let's see where we can take it from there, man. Arteta must be ruthless when it comes to leaving players. I think you mean letting players go when they're not performing. Look at what Pep is doing to Phillips. I mean, he's just capping with him. One big criticism I have of Arteta is the share of game time. He's too reluctant to sub players on early and give players rest. So I'm saying man have to get players that he trusts a bit. And that's the point I was kind of making in relation to Nelson and the Wideman. Timber/Tommy as the right back, left back for me when fit. Benny Blanco hasn't been it. And Zinni couldn't defend against him. Oh, that's harsh. That's harsh, man. I can't lie. This new look is lit. All you need is to add a pen and paper. One sec. one sec. You know what the saddest thing is? I can get my journal. I got it for free. I've never worked at Morgan Stanley or know anyone there. Oh, it's a bit of an L. It's not even showing it. Oh, yeah, it is. There we go. You know what I mean? Like, Robbie, shout me. Robbie, full-time position, man. Come, let's go. I like Timber, man, but for me, listen, I would love to wake up and Timber is back before the season's over and Timber is fit. But for me, and I'm not no physio, I've just written a man off for this season. We go again next year, man. Big up Timber, though. Shout yourself, man. Apparently, Hendo wants to come back to Europe. Are you having him on a short-term thing? Beggars can't be choosers, but I'm not really against it. Ramsdale, Smith Rowe, Nelson, and Ketia if he stays third striker option. Not sure if Vieira will be sold right now. El Nene, Cedric, Tini, Jorginho, but I'd only keep him to replace El Nene. I hear it, man. There's a lot of moving parts required. This Zirkzee guy, I'm a big fan already. He reminds me of a young Ronaldinho. Sane definitely looks like a promising player. Winning ways, I'm still on you for that Modric hate. Mate, nothing wrong with a strong turtleneck. Come on. We ain't going to do this all the time, but come on. All right, baby mom's out there. You get me, man? Can do the push thing. Your baby dad don't look like this. He's probably in jail or something. But yeah, man, it is what it is. If you're on Twitch, don't forget to subscribe with Amazon Prime and big up the Twitch gangs as well, people. Don't forget to smash the like button if you haven't. And one love to those of you who have already. But yeah, man, we've been here for an hour and 6 minutes. Twitch gang, at some point, we'll be playing Football Manager. I've enjoyed you lot's talking points, differences of opinions in general, going over the news with you lot. But with that being said, the guy's got to go get some lunch, man. So, yeah, man, I appreciate you lot. Any news that develops, you know you'll get live streams and all of that sort of good stuff out there. Again, at 7 p.m., I've got a video coming out where me and Art spoke about Arsenal, the wingers, Hale End concerns and all of that jazz. I did a video of Tom Canton yesterday. Big up, Tom. Make sure you're following him. So there's content, and more content. Check out the playlist. Turn on your notification bells and all of that good stuff. I can't lie, these glasses are making my eyes bug out now. So on that note, people, you know, I could be a reporter by day and then I could be a goal scoring fullback by night or afternoon. One love. Smash the like button on your way out, folks.
Against this right back, Charlie.
There's always just that active red light. Defending, I think it's like there's always just that